Towson, all at the same time. I mean, the Orioles doing spring training, the NFL free agency period about to begin, and the Ravens about to make a lot of news one way or another. And, of course, the Verizon Center being taken over by the Big Ten and 14 teams coming in, and the Terps playing on Friday night. But the Caps and the Wizards are headed west, both in first place, both very much in control of their own destiny. This guy's going west with the Caps. I saw him on Monday night down at the phone booth calling a rather lackluster Caps effort, but he's one of my favorite play-by-play guys at Comcast Sports Mid-Atlantic. Been watching a lot of Caps, lots of Wizards, lots of CSN. He is Joe Beninati. We welcome him back on, one of our defending champions. You can follow his journey on Twitter at JoeBPXP. Joe, you got your bags packed? A little California love here this week, right?
Just started to pack, Nestor. Do you have like a camera in house here? I've been preparing wardrobe. Locker always teases me about that. I've been getting the outfits ready for the West Coast, figuring that the weather's going to be a little bit warmer. We could bring out some nicer colors. We'll see how it works. But I know that the Caps are looking forward to going west. But this is a very, very difficult, ambitious trip. It is every year, and now you're doing it 3 games in 4 nights, and you wind up traveling on the back end to come back in from Minnesota at home to make it 4 and 6. And, you know, these are the challenges of a team that's been playing as well as the Caps has been for this long. These are the types of challenges they look forward to.
You know, they haven't been as sharp since the break. I mean, that's obvious. If you put the game on Monday, I think Ovechkin hasn't been as sharp. And there, issues with health on, everybody's a little banged up this time of the year. They had a week off. They're still the best team on the planet by a lot. One thing you're going to see, they're going to see some strange faces here. I mean, Dallas was the beginning of that. San Jose, where historically they have not fared well. Kings, similar. Anaheim, maybe a little bit better. But different faces, guys they don't see very often. And more than that, very, very motivated, spirited opponents every night because they're the best team on earth and they've kicked everybody's butts the last couple of months.
They do. They have the bullseye on them, so they get everybody's best punch. There's no doubt about that. And it is an unusual part of the schedule, Nestor, when you're figuring by the time you get around to Thursday night, it'll be 5 straight games against the West, and I'm going to say 10 of 12 against the West when you go further, when you break it out further than that. The month of March is extraordinarily difficult because they play a total of 15 games in about 29 days. And they're going to be working in all 4 different time zones. So this is a taxing part of the season. And I'll be perfectly honest with you, when they were roaring into that bye week, I think many of us felt like there would be a bit of a noticeable correction. If we were talking about stock market terms, there would be a little bit of a correction because you couldn't possibly maintain that kind of boiling hot stretch, and I'm okay with that. There are some fans who want them to be 82-0 and just racing into the playoffs at 82-0. You can't have it both ways. So the team is going to dip, and I think a lot of it is by design so that they ramp their play back up when we get towards the tail end of March and early April, and now you can see the playoffs. It's tangible. You can reach out and touch it.
Well, other than being the 1 seed, and, I know the President's Trophy, none of that stuff means anything other than, seeding and where you're going to play and who you're going to play. At this point, it would be a massive shock if they're not the number 1 seed. They would have had to play very, very poorly. But to your point, some of the guys, the other night, I felt like Tom Wilson plays too hard. I feel like some nights, Orloff the other night was going like crazy. And I almost have a feeling like, hey, let's not get broken here. Let's not have an injury. Let's not have something really go wrong. And I know Trotz is always trying to manage that difference because they're going to play most of these games. They're going to play the rest of the way against teams that are on the bubble. The other team, quote unquote, wants it a little bit more, needs it a little bit more. It's a need basis for them, kind of like this Big Ten tournament this weekend. Joe, I know you cover all these sports. There are teams that are already in the dance, and then there's teams that are desperate to get there. And a lot of times you see a different version of those teams, and I think the Caps will certainly see that over the next 4 weeks.
Without a doubt. And a team like, let's look at Chicago in the last month. There was a tremendous uptick in their play of late. There was a while there where Minnesota was comfortably leading the West, and then Chicago, a team that has pedigree, a team that knows how to turn it on at the right time, has done just that. And, there are some people who sit there and go, well, are they peaking a little bit too soon? I don't know how to judge that. But your point to desperation is there. I think this year's a little bit different, Nestor, in that if you look at the Metro Division, almost by this time last year, that was sewn up. There's no way that's going to be the case this year. You arguably have 4 of the best 6 teams in the entire league encased in that one division. So for Washington, the importance is to rack up home ice advantage. I mean, they've been dominant at home. They want to keep that. So getting that top spot in the Metro, having the home ice advantage all the way through the Eastern playoffs would be fabulous for them. That is definitely an intended goal. But yeah, if there's an Eastern Conference championship and a President's Trophy wrapped up into all of that, that's terrific. You know what the big goal is. They know what the big goal is, and more so than any year that I can remember. I mean, this is as motivated and as tightly knit a group as I have seen. And yeah, you want to talk about desperation? I think they'll be ready to play with desperation once we get into that second week of April, and the games matter most come playoff time.
Joe Beninati's covering all things Caps. You can follow him out on Twitter at JoeBPXP. Team is headed to San Jose on Thursday, L.A. Saturday, and the Ducks of Anaheim on Sunday. This is a quick little business trip, though, now, isn't it? I mean, later on in the month, they hit this Minnesota, Colorado, Arizona, going on Columbus, Toronto. They're going all over God's green earth at the end of the month. This is pretty, narrowly focused. I mean, they could easily steal 2 out of 3 this weekend, but I don't think anybody loved the way they played on Monday night, and they're taking too many penalties right now, Joe.
They've done that a little bit too much for my liking all season long, but by the grace of God, their penalty killing and the goalies, Holtby and Grubauer, have bailed them out when they've put themselves in man-down situations. I mean, you saw them win a game recently on the strength of their penalty killing late in the hockey game, having to neutralize a 4-minute disadvantage. But no, you can't get away with that for too long, and especially against teams that have some pop offensively when they're a man up, and especially come tournament time. But 3 games in 4 nights is unusually quick for the Caps to go briskly through California. You're exactly right. But that one at the end of the month is incredible. I think once you get the time change, you're going to be playing in 4 different time zones on that trip. And oh, by the way, if I'm not mistaken, they come back home from that trip and they make it 6 out of 9 with the Rangers on a Wednesday night. So the schedule maker has not done anybody any favors all season long. And a lot of it has to do with that preseason World Cup tournament and with the institution of this bye week. You're making teams routinely play 3 and 4, 4 and 6, 6 and 9. It's tough, and we were just discussing this. You want to, at this point in the season, you want to bubble wrap your best players. You want to bubble wrap them all. You want them to stay perfectly healthy and get into that second week in April unscathed. But it's tough. It's tough, and I know the Caps are going to take Andrei Burakovsky with them on this trip this week to California, but I can't see him, with the injury that he sustained, being ready much before the end of March, if by then. If so, then that's fantastic, and that's young bones that are healing quickly. But for the most part, knock on wood, they've been really fortunate this season. I think TJ Oshie leads them in terms of man games lost around 13-14. When he's in the lineup, Nestor, I think he's arguably their MVP. He definitely helps make Ovechkin better in tandem with Backstrom. I think Backstrom's had that kind of quiet, unassuming MVP-type season for them as well, and I hope he garners some votes for that, and as well as Selke Award. I think he's one of the finest, if not the finest, two-way guy in the league this year.
Dude, did Locker get you to put the hat on Monday night, the Sweden hat, or did that ever happen?
No, this is what we do. This is how we roll. And then he didn't tell me that it was like a beanie, though. So
it's a Viking hat.
I'm looking at it all during the game, and I'm going, Locke, we're doing this during the second intermission. He goes, oh, yeah. We don't mind having fun and poking fun at ourselves. And I'm looking at it, and I'm going, geez, this thing looks small. And I go back to calling the game Monday night. And then it's time for the second intermission to roll around, and we strap that. And I'm like, what is this? Has my head been swollen for the last 3 hours? But it was, whatever.
I am working very, very hard behind the scenes to get my own Viking hat. I want a Sweden hat. I've been to Sweden. I'm a fan, and I'll never miss a Sweden night again. You know, I'm waiting for the Orioles to do Venezuela night. I'm wearing my Team Venezuela jersey, Joe, because, World Baseball Classic this week. I want to put my support behind my Latin American brothers. But you'll be out on the West Coast of this team right now. Being around it, and look, Trotsy's coming up here on the 20th. We're going to do a sit-down. We're going to swab for the bone marrow registry. And, and everybody that's, I had Vogel on earlier earlier this week and other people that have been around this, I'm too close to Trotz to, everybody knows I'm biased. I mean, I've known the dude 30 years. We're close. That's no secret to anybody that's been listening here. The difference this time around and the disappointment from last year and, seeing what the Falcons have gone through. And I've talked to people with the Cowboys this week. When you go 13-3 and you don't get there. For the Capitals, it gets even heavier next month because of guys like you and me and Smoke and Al and Eddie Frankovic, everybody that's been around for 20, 30, 40 years, waiting, knowing this is the best shot. And, I think there's something about Trotz at 700 wins. He's sort of like due. You know what I mean? I really feel like it's going to happen this year. And I've cleared all my decks in May and June to be around for all the games and stuff. Internally for you to see the difference between where, a 44-win team would be at this time of the year versus some of the bad years. I mean, there were a lot of bad years in there, Joe. This is special what's going on here.
It's been special for 2 seasons. They were good enough last year, Nestor. They really were. It just didn't bounce the right way in that Pittsburgh series. And honestly, I still firmly believe, and I think I may have mentioned this to you already, no disrespect to Tampa Bay or San Jose. San Jose always gives Washington a tough time, but I think had Washington squeaked past Pittsburgh, we'd be singing a different tune. And I know that's ifs and nuts and all that stuff. That's whistling past the graveyard. But Pittsburgh and Washington, in my opinion, were the 2 best teams in the East, and the best team in the East that emerged eventually down San Jose. I firmly believe Washington would have done the same. However, this year's team is better. It's deeper. I think it's more instinctive on defense. The third line prior to the Burakovsky injury was scaring the bejesus out of teams. And that's the third line because you're going to need them because come playoff time, the top 2 lines tend to neutralize each other. You need that third and fourth line. Last year, the difference in the Pittsburgh series was Bonino, Kessel, and Hagelin. And I don't think Kessel belongs on anybody's third line, but he's there. That's how good Pittsburgh is. Well, for Washington, all of a sudden, Connolly and Erler and Burakovsky have clicked. And that's not to take anything away from Jacob Vrana, who I think has a very similar skill set to Andre. Andre's just bigger, powerful, and more forceful right now. I think Vrana's going to be a heck of a player in a couple seasons. He may even be by the time we're done this year. But the depth of this team, including that fourth line, which chips in routinely, the depth of this team now with Shattenkirk. I mean, you look at that right side on the defense, Carlson, Niskin, Shattenkirk, that's terrific. I mean, that's the envy of anybody in the East as far as a right-handed defense group is concerned. They are the best. We've seen them. We see them all the time, Nestor. You and I, we're too close to it. I completely understand. What holds a lot of validity for me is when opposing teams, and especially Western Conference teams, don't get them very often. I'll be upstairs. Somebody will stop me in the hallway and go, my God, this is the best team in the league, and it's not even close. So when you hear that, it confirms what we're saying. It is their best chance.
The 95 points confirms that, right? I mean, the 5-0 victories every night. That
we saw it last year.
Yeah.
We saw them run away with the NHL, blow people's doors off last year. Didn't get it done. You have to get it done one of these days. And the guy you started this part of the conversation with, Barry Trotz, refers to the hockey gods. One of these days, the hockey gods are going to smile on him and his team and the city of Washington hockey fans. One of these days.
And we'll all drink from the chalice, Joe. We'll drink from the cup. It'll be great.
It should be this time around. They are good enough to do it, without question. Everybody that I speak to says they're good enough to do it. The overwhelming vote of the people who are supposed experts project Washington to win the cup. You can call it a kiss of death. I know why Caps fans cringe when they hear anybody favor their team. Stop this. Let's bow our chests out once. Let's puff our chests out, bow our backs, and say they are the best team.
Joe, if I could do my Bill Murray from Meatballs, I'd say the Cubs did it, the Red Sox did it. Why can't the Caps do it, right? I mean, we've all lived through these droughts before, you know. I mean, it's the first thing that comes up anytime the playoffs begin or there's prosperity. The naysayers, the negative Nellies, you know, it's all there and it's all built in, and you know it's coming. And the team should embrace all of that with the grayness coming into Alex Ovechkin's beard here in the coming weeks. I may go beard this year. I may, because my beard's really weird right now. It's multicolored. It looks like a Christmas tree, Joe.
I know why people get scared. Hockey's a roll of the dice. It's not the same as basketball. If you have LeBron, if you have Steph Curry at their peak, you're in really good shape. You should be in really good shape. Hockey's deeper than that, and the bounces are more quirky, especially come playoff time. The desperation level rises. The defensive level rises. Those gorgeous passing plays for layups aren't there as much. But what I've seen and what's given me a good feeling about this Washington team is they don't have to blow your doors off 7-2 to win. They'll beat you 1-0 and play an ugly, disgusting trap kind of game that New Jersey put in. That was the kind of game a couple games back where Washington would have fallen asleep and lost. They didn't. Credit to them. Those kinds of the games are the ones that you're going to have to win, and who knows? We still have almost a quarter of the season left. Who knows who that matchup's going to be? That first-round matchup could be a favorable one. It could be a very, very challenging one. That's why I think Washington needs to keep its foot down. They can't let up too much at this time of the season.
Keep Locker in line out there in California, Joe, okay?
Tough assignment. Extremely tough.
Well,
as long as he doesn't bring the Viking hat, we're all good.
Well, if you don't want it anymore, throw it my way. I'll wear it once a week, but I'm there for Sweden night any year. I promise you that. And I hope they play better on Sweden night next year. Though Backstrom did score after I put the Sweden flag on my cheek. It worked that way. I probably should have kept it there. Joe, take care of yourself. Fly safe out there. We'll see you next week when you guys get back.
Will do, Nestor. Thanks for the time.
Joe Beninati, my man, joining us here from Comcast Sportsnet. You can follow him, Joe B, PXP, out on Twitter. I should have thrown some lacrosse his way, but we got hockey on the brain right now. Let's stay focused on the Cup, and we'll be doing that late into the night all week long. We got the Caps and the Wizards playing simultaneously here over the weekend. We got the Terps doing late night things down at the Verizon Center and maybe hanging on to play on Saturday and Sunday. Wizards Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Caps Thursday and Saturday. The simultaneous game will be Saturday night. Then the Caps go back after it again on Sunday night against the Ducks. So every night a different game, every night a different color in my. The Caps are red and the Wizards are blue in my schedule. That probably makes sense for most of you. And they both get back home next week, and maybe the Terps will raise a Big Ten championship flag this weekend. They'll certainly be in the dance when those brackets come out on Sunday. We got all sorts of things happening. Orioles in spring training. Obviously, if there's any breaking news there in free agency, you'll get it first on the WNST text service. That is brought to you by Coons Ford at Security Boulevard and is promised to be very, very active, beginning with the Charisse right cut and going straight on through. It's going to be active all week long. Dennis will be here on Thursday driving you home with the SSV on WNST. Our morning newspaper ships to your email inbox at 7 a.m. each and every morning. Very reliably provided by Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com. Still $10 a month to get in the best shape of your life there. What else do we got? The Audio Vault. The Buy a Toyota Audio Vault there for you 24 hours a day. If you miss it here, if you miss it on AM 1570, if you miss it on the Listen Live after you've downloaded the TuneIn Radio app, you can listen whenever you want, wherever you want. It's how we roll. The Buy a Toyota Audio Vault there for you at WNST.net, mobilely or on your laptop, desktop, iPad. The gadget of your choice, I would say. Nasty at WNST.net is my email. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, streaming live on our Facebook Live, as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel. We still got room on our trip to London last week of September. If you want to join us, toss me an email or just click on the Road Trips tab at WNST.net. As well, head coach Barry Trotz of the aforementioned first place Washington Capitals, joining us here in Baltimore on March 20th. Monday, March 20th, 2 weeks from now. We'll get the coach into town. We're going to be swabbing for the Bone Marrow Register. We'll have more details for that coming up for you. I'm Nestor. This is WNST.net, AM 1570 and WNST Towson, Baltimore. And we never stop talking Baltimore sports.